Life has a way of leading us to unexpected crossroads, and one of the most profound is the journey into our later years. It's a time that society often frames with a single predetermined outcome. When your body can no longer keep pace with your spirit, it's time to find a place that can. This is the unwritten rule, the assumption that a nursing home is the logical, inevitable conclusion. But what if that logic is flawed? What if the assumption that independence and joy must be traded for round-the-clock care is a false choice? We've gathered 6 extraordinary stories that shatter this myth. These are not tales of people who stubbornly refused help. They are powerful examples of individuals who chose to redefine what it means to age, to adapt with grace, and to find new ways to thrive on their own terms. Stick with us as we show you that your later years can be a continuation of the life you've built, not a final, unceremonious ending. Story 1. The Independent Grandpa. For John, an 85-year-old man, the heart of his existence was woven into the very fabric of his home and neighborhood. His mornings began with a routine as comforting as an old blanket, the gentle creak of the front door, the crisp morning air on his face, and the quiet joy of his daily walk around the block. He knew the names of the baristas at the local coffee shop, the dogs in the park, and the rhythms of the community that had been his for decades. But as a new frailty began to set in, his children grew increasingly worried. Their love for him was vast, and they felt an overwhelming responsibility to ensure his safety. With every fall, every forgotten medication, every slow-to-heal bruise, their suggestions for a nursing home became more frequent and more urgent. They spoke of peace of mind, of professional care, of security. But for John, this suggestion felt like a profound betrayal of the life he had built. It wasn't just about his home. It was about the dignity and autonomy he had cherished for so long. He knew his body was changing, but his mind and his spirit were still strong. He wasn't ready to trade the scent of his own garden and the familiar faces of his neighbors for a new, sterile environment. The negotiations with his children were tense, filled with unspoken fears and misunderstandings. He finally articulated his core belief that he could have safety and care without giving up his identity. The solution they ultimately found was a testament to his resolve. By combining the periodic visits of a compassionate home health aide with a coordinated system of family check-ins, they built a new kind of safety net. John's home became his sanctuary once more, and his story became a living lesson that a person's spirit of self-reliance is not something to be contained, but to be celebrated and supported. It's a reminder that true independence is not about being a lone wolf, but about having the courage to ask for help on your own terms. Story 2. The Retired Teacher. After a fulfilling career spent shaping young minds, Martha, a retired teacher in her 70s, found herself at a profound crossroads. The bell that once signaled the end of class now seemed to mark the beginning of an unsettling silence. The vibrant chaos of a school day was replaced by the quiet of an empty house. While many of her colleagues were content to retreat into a life of leisure, Martha felt a deep-seated need for something more. The idea of a nursing home, with its structured schedule and institutional feel, felt like a final, unceremonious ending to a life defined by purpose. It was a place she felt she would go to merely exist, not to live. Her family was perplexed when she announced her plan to move to a specialized senior community that was more like a college campus than a retirement home. To them, it seemed counterintuitive to uproot her life and move to a new, unfamiliar place at her age. But Martha's decision was a deliberate and courageous act of self-discovery. In this vibrant new community, she found a diverse group of peers who were just as eager to learn and grow as her former students. It was here that she found her new calling, teaching knitting classes. She had always loved the craft, but her busy teaching career had never allowed her to fully pursue it. Now, surrounded by an eager new group of learners, she rediscovered her passion and her purpose. The joy on her face as she helped a fellow resident master a new stitch was palpable. Martha's story is a beautiful testament to the idea that a life of purpose does not have an expiration date. It teaches us that to find new energy, we must be willing to seek out new communities, new connections, and new opportunities to share the wisdom we've accumulated. It's about finding a place where you can continue to blossom, surrounded by people who lift you up. Story 3. The Adventurer in His 90s. For most of us, a quiet life of comfort and routine is the expectation for our 90s. But then there's Samuel, a man who, at 92, had no intention of abiding by these unwritten rules. While his peers might have found solace in the quiet of their homes, Samuel's heart still beat to the rhythm of new horizons. For years, he had dreamed of traveling the world, but his career and family obligations had always kept those dreams just out of reach. Now, he felt a powerful urge to seize the moment. His family, particularly his daughter, was initially concerned. The thought of a 92-year-old traveling across continents seemed fraught with risks. But his spirit was so alive, so infectious, that they soon realized this was not a reckless decision, but an essential one. Samuel's adventures were not about luxury or ticking off bucket lists. They were about authentic experiences. They stayed in small, cozy apartments in the heart of cities, immersing themselves in the local culture. He wandered through the streets of Paris, not as a tourist, but as a temporary resident, finding a new kind of freedom in the anonymity of the crowd. He trekked through the sun-drenched Italian countryside and explored ancient ruins in Greece, his eyes full of a childlike wonder. Samuel's life is a powerful reminder that our dreams don't have an expiration date. His story challenges the very idea of what is possible as we age, proving that a sense of wonder and a desire for adventure are timeless. His legacy is not just the places he saw, but the living lesson he imparted, that a life well lived is one that is always open to new experiences, no matter the decade. Story 4. The Tech-Savvy Grandma. When Rose, a vibrant woman in her 80s, realized she needed more support, her family's first instinct was to suggest a nursing home. But Rose's spirit was far too independent for that. She had always been a problem solver, a woman who adapted to the challenges of life with resourcefulness and resilience. She decided her next challenge would be to bridge the gap between her needs and her desire to stay in her own home, and the answer, surprisingly, was technology. She had always viewed technology with a healthy skepticism, but with the patient help of her grandchildren, she began to see it as a tool, not an obstacle. She started small, with a tablet that allowed her to make video calls. The first time she saw her great-grandchildren's faces on the screen, the distance between them seemed to vanish. Soon, she was exploring more advanced options. She installed a voice-controlled smart home system that allowed her to adjust the thermostat, lock the doors, and turn on the lights with a simple command. It was a revolutionary change, giving her a sense of control and security she hadn't felt in years. Her family, once skeptical, now used the technology to check in on her, ensuring she was safe and well. Rose's story is a profound lesson in the power of adaptation. It shows us that technology is not the exclusive domain of the young. It can be a liberating force for anyone willing to learn, a bridge that connects us to our loved ones and empowers us to live with greater independence, regardless of our age. Story 5. The Gardener Who Never Stopped Growing. For David, a man in his late 70s, the passage of time was most evident not in the mirror, but in his beloved garden. For years, his sprawling yard, bursting with flowers and vegetables, had been his sanctuary. He knew every plant by name, every patch of soil by heart. It was a place where he found peace and purpose. But as his body began to protest with every pull of a weed and every turn of the shovel, his family grew concerned. They saw his physical struggles and feared for his health, suggesting that perhaps it was time to let go of the demanding hobby that had brought him so much joy. To them, the garden had become a burden. But David refused to see it that way. For him, the garden was a part of his soul. He had no intention of giving it up entirely. Instead, he made a conscious choice to adapt. He painstakingly transformed his large garden into a smaller, more manageable space. He chose plants that required less intensive care and focused on the simple, quiet beauty of his scaled-down landscape. He found that with less physical strain, he was able to feel a deeper sense of presence and connection with his plants. The joy he found in his new, simpler garden was just as profound as the joy he had felt in his expansive one. David's story is a beautiful metaphor for a life well lived. It teaches us that adapting to change is not an act of surrender, but an act of wisdom. It's about letting go of what is no longer sustainable and finding a new, more fulfilling way to engage with the things we love. It's a testament to the idea that sometimes less truly is more. Story 6. The Family Legacy. The house where Helen, at 84, had lived for over 50 years was more than just a home. It was a living, breathing part of her family's legacy. Every scuff on the wooden floor told a story. Every mark on the doorframe measured a child's growth. And every room held the echo of cherished memories. When her children, out of love and concern for her well-being, began to talk about a nursing home, Helen felt a profound sadness. The thought of leaving the place where she had raised her family, where every corner held a piece of her history, was unbearable. She knew a new place might be safer, but she also knew it would be devoid of the warmth and the soul that her home possessed. Helen's choice was to stay, to fight for the right to live her life surrounded by her own history. Her decision was not made in isolation. It was a choice that required a team effort. Her children, seeing her unwavering commitment, worked with her to create a plan that made her home safe. They installed grab bars, reorganized rooms, and most importantly, created a schedule of regular check-ins and visits. The house became a hub of activity again, as grandchildren stopped by after school and her daughter visited on weekends. For Helen, staying home was a way to preserve not just her memories, but her sense of belonging. Her story teaches us that true care is not always about moving to a new place, but about honoring the home that has always been the heart of a person's world. It's a reminder that sometimes the best place to be in your later years is the one that has been home all along. In conclusion, the journey into our later years is not a one-size-fits-all experience. And as we've seen from these remarkable individuals, a nursing home is far from the only path. Their stories show us that with creativity, support, and a willingness to adapt, you can continue to lead a life rich with purpose, community, and adventure. These aren't just isolated anecdotes. They are proof that the most important thing is to find a path that honors the person you are and the life you built. The goal isn't to simply survive. It's to continue living, thriving, and connecting. So, if you or a loved one are facing this decision, remember these lessons. Don't just accept the default option. Instead, ask what would truly make you feel most alive. We would love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more inspiring content.